Hey everybody, and welcome to the Expedition One podcast. I'm James Fonnesbeck, and with me, as always, is actually never, but first time is Matt Grimm, my random high school friend that just showed up that I decided to throw in that seat.
Let's do it.
And our guest today is Edward Shin again, who's basically our last podcast guest. That tells you how often we get these done. But anyway, Ed's back, and we're talking about cool stuff, right?
Yep.
So let's talk about some cool stuff, Ed.
All right.
How are things?
It's great.
Yeah?
It's busy.
Busy?
Just had my second baby.
That's busy.
Yeah. 2 weeks old now. So,
Wow.
yeah, this is why I brought the Red Bull, because it's supposed to give me wings, but it's keeping my eyelids open, and that's all about what it's doing.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's great. It's great. It's challenging, but it's very rewarding. So
What? So this is the second kid.
this is the
you
second
got two.
one. Yeah.
How old's your oldest?
2 years old.
2.
Yep.
Wow.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Think of it.
Just when we thought things were starting to settle, we just
Yeah.
got to start running again.
You're a warrior, man.
I don't know. I wouldn't say that.
How many more are we gonna have here?
That's a good question. My wife and I, we talk about it,
Mm-hmm.
and then I asked her, I go, were you willing to go through this again, what we're going through right now? And this is right after
Yeah.
we brought our second girl home. She's like, no, I don't want to do it. But she's the one who started when we got married,
Mm-hmm.
saying things like, let's have 5 kids. Whoa. I know.
That's pro level right there.
I don't know how they do it. There's people with 6, 7, 8 kids, and
Dude, how many you got, Grim?
I got 4.
You got 4. Yeah.
4 and out.
No, that's where we're at. 4.
yep. So you guys are the masters, the professionals.
I've heard that it's like once you get past like 3, it's kind of just all the same.
It is.
Like it's that you're already at that level of chaos that it just doesn't matter.
Zone
Yeah.
defense. Like,
Yeah.
You just manage it.
Yeah.
Make it work.
Well, and then they start to kind of take care of each other along the way, so it kind of takes off your
Mhm.
hands too. That's what I hear as well.
It does.
But-
It's yeah. Okay. Sure. I'll give that, and it happens. My oldest sitting there. I'm like, he kind of does. Okay, a little bit. I'll give that a little bit. Okay.
Yeah.
It's a little bit harder to weave around. Do you like the new setup? I kind of like it. Yours is kind of messed up. Hold on a sec.
Okay.
Let me fix this. Look at this. It's like, do you see how that's all messed up?
I didn't even notice it.
I feel like a guy that designs product is the only person that would catch on to something like
Yeah.
that.
Right. Exactly.
That's probably true.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, but we're rolling now, right? We feel good. You feel good? I feel good.
Let's go for the ride.
So 2 kids. That's awesome.
Yep.
You're gonna have. I'm thinking you're gonna have at least 2 more. That's what I'm feeling right now.
All right. Here's the thing, though, right?
Mm-hmm.
When people say they want more, they also take into consideration their age, right? Like, if I was maybe in my mid-20s and I said I can have maybe 5 kids, I think I could deal with that. But I just turned 4. I'm turning 42 this year.
Holy crap! You're
I know.
42.
Yep. That's right.
What?
I know.
What is up with that? You don't even look close to that.
It's the Asian gene.
It is the
You know,
Asian gene.
we
I'm
look-
glad you said it.
I get carded till I'm 70, and then all of a sudden, I look like freaking the old guy from Big Trouble in Little China who dies at the end.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, it just
Yeah.
happens like that overnight.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, so with that said, I'm just like, man, am I gonna be able to keep up, with more kids after this, or is my body just gonna shut down?
Just
You know?
yeah, quit working all of a sudden.
Yeah.
You're doing okay. You're not diabetic. I'm diabetic, dude, and I'm 45 now.
Mm.
But I became diabetic when I was like 43. You're healthy, right? You're
So
drinking
far.
sugar-free stuff,
I'm trying to,
right?
man. I'm trying
You're
to.
living healthy.
This is how I justify it, like
Yeah.
you get the Diet Pepsi with your McDonald's, Big Mac. That's how I justify it. I go, it's a Red Bull, but it's
Like,
sugar free, so
I'm gonna eat light.
yeah, it's a health drink. They have this at Jamba Juice, I hope,
Yeah.
I don't know. But yeah, it's crazy, especially now too, because I went into YouTube full time and trying to focus on that with the baby, so. It's been a juggling act,
Mm-hmm.
but I haven't felt more fulfilled than ever before.
That's
So,
awesome.
yeah.
That's fantastic.
Yep. And I feel real good now, despite the lack of sleep, because we saw what you did with the Jeep and
Yeah.
all the little Expedition 1 stuff on there. I can't wait. I've been teasing it on my Instagram, and people have been asking me a lot of questions.
Nice.
Yep.
Yeah. No, it looks good. I mean, I mean, we can talk about 40s because I know that was something that was going to happen here, but
That's right.
40s are, I'm just going to say it. Personally, I wouldn't do 40s. Personally.
Yeah.
I've done 40s on a JL, and
Yeah.
it was just that much too big.
Yeah, I mean, with 40s, there's a lot of other things you got to do to the vehicle to keep up with having 40-inch tires.
Mm-hmm. And you're going to do that, though, right? I mean, you guys are doing RVC axles, you said, right? Is it RVC or CV? What is it? RCV
in the front,
yeah.
And then in the rear, Yukon chromoly axle shafts,
Mm-hmm.
and then re-gear to 513.
Mm-hmm.
But I am going to keep the Dana 44. And, there's this hot debate, right? Some people say you got to get the 1-tons, Dana 60s, if you're going to get 40 inches. Some people say you can do the Dana 44s as long as you're not bouncing it off rocks, right?
Yeah.
And I don't plan to bounce it off rocks. I'm more of an overlander guy more than a rock crawler. So for my build, and it doesn't apply to everybody, but for my build, I think it's fine. I
Yeah.
think it's legit. And actually, Trail Recon, he had a Jeep mechanic on his show, on his podcast, or on his YouTube channel just recently.
Yeah.
And he just asked the same question. He goes, hey, if you're going to put 40s, can you put Dana 44s? And the mechanic goes, and he's a tech, well-seasoned tech. He said, yes, you
Mhm.
can. But of course, it's just like a blanketed answer. There's exceptions, right?
Yeah.
So,
They're way beefier. I mean, the JL axles are way beefier than the JK.
yeah, I heard they
They're
improved it.
much better.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I remember my JK, we sleeved it. We did all sorts of stuff to try and beef that thing up, and it kind of worked, but even still, I mean, I think I was running 38s.
Yeah,
It was just a little bit too much. It really needed, I think, I can't remember if we swapped out the front axle or not in the end, or if I just sold it. But what we did with this one, the other JK out there, that one's sitting on 38s.
Mhm.
I mean, we did, I always mix them up, but RVC or CV, whatever,
RCV, yeah.
RCV, yeah. We did their axles up front. We did a Terra 44 up front, and that was definitely a good improvement. The only other thing that that you might want to consider if you're not doing it already is some sort of hydraulic assist steering.
Yeah, I've heard
That's
about
the only
yeah,
other
I thought
other
about that too.
piece of it. I did that on my JK,
Mhm.
my 4-door JK, and that was very, very needed. I mean,
Yeah.
I had these moments on Slick Rock where you've got the axles locked and you're just in this binded position, and it's just strange.
Yeah.
It's like you just can't move,
Mm-hmm.
and yeah, it was a little crazy.
It is on my radar. I
Mhm.
am, just for the type of wheeling or driving I do, I don't see myself in that position, but I might be. Who knows, right? So it's on my radar, and I'm taking into consideration that I might need to get it down the line. But I want to see how it feels without it first.
Mm-hmm.
It's a learning experience for me. I'm new to the Jeep world, so to
Mhm.
speak. It's a whole different universe
It is.
in Jeeps.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, and to say, going back to the 1-tons, right, and the 40s and stuff. So one of the reasons for 40s is they look great, right? And
Mm-hmm.
for running a channel, and we got something visually, aesthetically pleasing or kind of standing out, 40s help. But at the same time, me and like my friend Nate and some other people who want to go out wheeling, we like to do that in the snow, right? So we want to get as much clearance as we can, even if
Mhm.
you have to air down to like 4 PSI,
Mm-hmm.
which is another reason that we don't want to, or I don't want to get 1-tons because they'll reduce clearance on the diff.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I want to keep it with the 44s, get the 40s, and get as much clearance as possible, and just plow around.
Mm-hmm.
But of course, in other times throughout the year, it'll probably serve good function. So,
Mm-hmm.
but we'll see. It's a learning experience. I might say in a couple of months from now, man, I need to get 1-tons. Or I might break my 44s. Who knows?
The guys I know a lot of guys that's where they go with. They just do those big, huge, 1-ton axles. They're doing 60s and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I think if you're balanced in how you're approaching it, you'll be fine with
Yeah.
the 44s. But I mean, I've been on those trail runs where these dudes are just like, they're going to take the hardest line and they're going to
Yeah.
do it on purpose.
Yeah.
And, they're going to put themselves in a really random spot. I don't do that stuff. I used to be fun. I thought that stuff was fun, but it's just, I'm old and it's like, I'm stressed out by that stuff. So I'd rather not do it.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, and the thing is, like, the people I've seen on video or on trails and stuff that do that kind of that driving and riding on hard obstacles is
Mhm.
they trailer those rigs in.
They
you know?
do.
They don't drive it from home. I got to drive mine back home.
Mm-hmm.
So I like a challenge, but you know, at the same time, I got to be reasonable in my situation. And I think a lot of people who watch my channel are in the same kind of situation
Mm-hmm.
as well.
Yeah, and if you're wise, I mean, if you're wise on your vehicle, you're airing down,
Yep.
right? You're not doing that thing where you're letting your tires spin and then come down hard and stuff like that. You're likely not going to have troubles. That's usually when you see stuff break,
Yeah.
is when you got wheel spinning at high RPM and coming down and boom.
Yeah.
And that's when you see things go bad. But as long as you're balanced.
Mm-hmm.
Have you broken anything, Matt?
It's
Like
been a
that?
few days.
It's been a few days.
I mean, you and I go way back.
Yeah.
I was known to break a few things
You did.
here or there.
Break stuff.
Concerning 40s, yeah, it's the look. Like, that's what you want. Like,
Mm-hmm.
if we're going to go for it, go for it. Like, and if you break something, you break something. Like, that's
Mm-hmm.
part of the whole experience.
Yep.
But no, like, you know, I've learned since I've hung out with you so much, maybe it's the age and everything like that, but like,
Mm-hmm.
you still got to have fun and you may as well make it look good.
Yeah, you might as well, right? I think the 40s, I think it's going to look good. For me, it's just for the jail. The jail itself, it's just really, I think the engineers, when they built that thing, I think they were like, we're going to make this fit 37s, no problem, right? I think
Right.
that was like their entire goal.
I think so.
And so when you're putting 37s on it, they handle like a dream, right? Even 38s, they handle just fantastically. It's just when you jump up to that little bit, it's like, okay, it just creeps just a little bit outside to where, okay, now you're having to do a little more trimming in the fenders and you're kind of having to do that stuff.
Yeah.
But I mean, you were talking about potentially, I mean, if you end up swapping out the fenders and stuff like that,
Yeah.
it'll all work out good. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? If you're going to go that far into it, you know,
And I agree
40s
with-
make sense.
I agree with what you said about the engineers. Like, you can get a Mopar 2-inch lift, right? Like,
Mhm.
made for Jeeps and gets fit 37s in there. So it does make sense without doing too much else to the vehicle drivetrain and all
Mhm.
that. So with that said, if I didn't have a channel and I had a Jeep and I want to explore and stuff like that, I'd be perfectly happy with 37s.
Yeah.
You know, and mud terrain, all terrain, it doesn't matter. Like, that would be my ideal situation. Like, people aspire to get 40s, right? Like, that's the thing. Like Matt said, like, you know, those are dope. That's what I want.
Yeah.
I want to go on trail and show. But it's like, it's not gonna, the amount of enhancement to your enjoyment on a trail with 40s compared to 37s is like not worth the amount that you're gonna pay.
Yeah.
Not just for the tires, but for all the other things you got to do to the vehicle. Unless you got that much money and it's not gonna hurt you or you're not gonna feel it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think it doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
You know, so, but for me, it's a business expense.
Yeah. I get that too. Like, I'm running 38 on my Broncos right now. We're running 38s. They look fantastic.
Yeah.
They're just a little too big.
Mm.
Bronco with 37s is perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's right where it needs to be. So
Yeah. It looks good. I mean, that
it
Bronco
does,
right now
doesn't it?
looks really
Like the
good.
stance of it, everything just
perfect.
looks fantastic. Yeah. I
Yeah.
love how it actually turned out. It's one of my favorites. So pretty
How's it
cool with
drive
that.
on the highway and streets?
Awesome.
Yeah.
It gets terrible gas mileage, but
Mhm.
it's just it's its own fault. The reason why it gets terrible gas mileage is it's just you want to throttle it every time you get in it. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? It's just fun to drive. That turbo kicks in and stuff, and it's a fun car to drive. If I had 37s on it and it was just me driving it, I would probably average about 16 miles to the gallon. But because Sarah drives it a fair amount, it like gets like 12.
12.
It's
Sarah's not even here to defend
yeah,
herself.
yeah. She's not, but the truth, she knows exactly what I've already talked to her about this exact issue. I'm
Yeah,
like,
but like when you get into vehicles, like we're talking, you could even go to like 33s, 35s, definitely above. It's not about miles per gallon.
it's not.
That's
like,
right.
You don't
No.
do that for that. Like I have this debate with my father all the time. Like it's miles per happy at that point. That's all it is.
I like that.
Yeah.
Miles per happy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You don't look at it. I mean,
17.6 miles per happy. That's
Yeah.
what I'm getting.
exactly. I mean, I'm a van guy. I don't even look at that anymore because it's just like it's gonna happen.
Yeah.
It's
So
gonna play its
how
course.
did that work?
How did what work?
How did you all of a sudden turn into a van
I've
guy?
always been a van guy, even when we were like grasshoppers.
Really?
Oh yeah. Call it like the A-Team, call it whatever it was in the 80s. I
Okay.
remember driving up in Heber, like on a dirt road, and this dude pulled up in a 4-wheel drive van. This is back in the 80s. We're
Uh-huh.
not talking Sprinter vans. We're not talking any of that stuff. We're talking old school, and his 4-wheel drive, and I was like, it's the most incredible thing I've ever
Did
seen.
it have a teardrop window in the back?
Probably did. It was the 80s.
Was there some kids in the back that were like
We're not gonna
winking at you,
discuss
like
what was
blinking, like
happening in the van or anything like that.
trying to give you Morse code?
Just talking purely 4-wheel drive van, off-road, before overlanding was even a word.
It was before that. Yeah.
Yeah. So I've always wanted one because I like outdoors and I like people, and so yeah, I went van route.
So what platform van are you?
I'm old school still. I'm an Econoline.
Dude,
Like,
he's got a legendary van.
Yeah.
It works.
It's a piece of legend.
It's a piece. It's a piece. No, it's
No,
great.
it's
I mean, the ski bus is.
Tell
is
us about the roof on that thing, and why the roof is the roof. See, this thing has a history. Before you got it,
I would like to
it
call
had
it
a history.
has character.
Character. Okay, sure. Let's go. I like that.
I mean,
let's go with that.
Well, let's go with. So we started talking about. You just had a child. One of the greatest negotiations I've ever done in my life was kid number 4, who is now 3. So, in the hospital, wife's like, "We need a new vehicle." I'm like, "I don't want to spend $90,000 on a new Suburban or Expedition." I'm like, "All right, babe. Midlife crisis. I'm gonna keep you, the kids, everything. You know I've wanted a van." She's like, "I'm not gonna drive a van." I'm like, "I don't care. You don't need to drive a van. I will." So she gave me the green light in the hospital. I went and bought a used Econoline because Sprinters are cool, but again, the kid route.
Yeah.
Am I gonna throw a bunch of kids and just let them destroy a $120,000 Sprinter van? No. So we went old school, got the Econoline. It's got character though. You're right. Roof needs some work, maybe a roof rack, a few other things, but it was. They had a roof tent on it before me. And
who's they? Who was it?
It was who was it? It was a promo van for Goal Zero.
Okay.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, and I think it was like early days of like roof tent top, and I think they had a lot of fun. I think they had a lot of fun at events, and it shows. So we just choose to put a lot on the roof and not really see the character as much.
The character.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I don't know where we went with that. But
Is it caved in enough that it like gathers water?
No.
Okay.
We're not to
Well,
that
that's
point.
good.
Yeah.
Okay.
No.
There's not like a little swimming pool up there for frogs or anything like that.
No. I do park it on an angle so it rolls out.
Nice.
We're good.
That's
golden,
wise.
man.
Very wise.
So what's it look like underneath? So I'm guessing it has the four-wheel drive conversion.
Yep.
And it has a lift with what size tires are you running on there?
275s.
Okay.
Yeah. So I would like to move up to the 37s, but that's going to require more than I want to do right now. But future plans for sure. Like we'll put 37s on it and move it. So yeah, it's got the 4-wheel drive conversion from 4x4 Advance here in Salt Lake. Works well, but yeah, it's a E350 with like F350 parts underneath. So
Very cool.
It works. It's been great. I mean, going up to this, like skiing, going out to Moab, camping.
Does it have lockers?
No, it does not. That is also on the list. But again, so I don't know how much we want, because I'm like Sideshow Bob for this, but we can get into a little. You know my past. Like that's where we come together is like you put me in a vehicle
without
locked
lockers
up,
or with lockers.
I'm going to try and I will probably fail and break.
Or you never broke anything. You just buried yourself or something.
We broke stuff. You're forgetting. Yes.
Did we?
Yes.
Oh.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's a whole. That's
I know we
like
broke some
podcast
stuff,
3.
but yeah.
But so I've learned to just appreciate nature and not necessarily have to try to climb or any of that. I mean, similar to you, like been there, done that. We've done the trails.
We have done the trails.
We've
done
the
Moab.
recoveries.
We know what it's about.
Yes, it's a lot easier to just be the spotter and dare somebody to do it.
I like being the spotter and just letting people break stuff.
Yeah.
It's so much better.
People with 40s.
Yeah. Or people with whatever they had. There was this. I was at the Miller Motorsports Park for, I can't remember what the event was. It might have been like Cruiser Fest or something. It was Cruiser Fest. Okay. I'm pretty sure everyone was mad at me, but nobody said anything. But it was like there was all sorts of people there. I'm pretty sure Greg Miller was there and a whole bunch of people, Kurt Williams. And there was tons of Land Cruisers there, and people were getting inebriated, and I wasn't, right? And a dude came up to me, and he was, I don't remember how it all started, but he had an FJ60, and there was this crazy messed up ravine crack obstacle thing that just had buggy written all over it. And he was like, do you think I could go through that? And I look at it and I'm like, what are you in? And he shows me his 60, and I'm like, it was lifted. It was spring over. I mean, it was pretty big. And I'm like, do you have lockers? And he's like, yeah, I'm locked up and everything. And I'm like, yeah, we can get you through that. And I know I pissed somebody off, but yeah. So he's like, sweet, awesome. And so we just started driving through it. And I mean, I told the guy, I'm like, dude, you're going to probably break every panel on this 60 is going to be bent. And half of them were already bent anyway. And he's like, I don't care. That's fine. We literally drove this thing all the way through this crack, going around this corner to the other side. And when we were coming out, like he was about to tip over, and he was caught by a rock. Like he tipped on his side, and he was sitting like on the quarter panel. And it was one of these, okay, how do I get out of this? And it was just a matter of he turned his wheel the right way, and he throttled it through and came down. And
There you go.
yeah, it was pretty awesome.
Nice.
There was not one straight panel on that vehicle after that, but it was good times.
I had the exact same conversation with you as a teenager.
Did we?
Yeah, man. You got lockers? Sure.
Oh,
Let's
yeah.
do it.
Yeah, we probably did have that same conversation.
I think
Yeah.
that's good though. You live a more fulfilling life by taking your rig through things like that and getting it dented and
Mhm.
pinstriped and all that. You know, like
Yeah.
I get people asking me all the time, like when I had the Tundra and the Ram going through narrow trails, they're like, man, that's a new truck. That's whatever X amount of dollars. You're going to put pinstriping on that? I'm like, well, I mean, or I can just take it to the grocery store maybe once in a while or whatever. You know, it's like,
mall crawl it there a little bit.
I mean, you got to get your money's worth, right? Like take
Mhm.
it to places and stuff like that. So I'm on the side of like, if no matter what rig you have, whether it's beaten up and old or new or whatever, take it to fulfill your passion,
Mhm.
you know, and have a good time.
Mhm.
You know, just don't break it. Just don't be careless, I guess, is the way, because then you incur more costs.
Yeah.
But sometimes
Yeah.
people break it and they know how to fix things. And
Yep.
I wish I was more mechanically inclined so I can do those things, but I'll just go with people who know more than me, and then they'll fix it for me if I break it.
That's not a bad way to go. I can tell you that this dude, whoever he was, I don't remember him. He was stoked. Like that was one of the raddest things for him that he'd ever done is driven through that. And I was happy to just be there and watch. I guided him through, but anyway, not
Yeah.
trying to brag.
Well, there you go.
I'm a much better spotter, I think, than I am a driver, and I do a pretty good job at driving, but
Yeah.
spotting's a lot funner.
It is.
Yeah.
No stress.
It's less stress. Let somebody else ruin their car. But
That's what it's
Anyway.
about. As I feel like, I don't know about you guys, but as I get older, I look for more. I mean, the adrenaline stuff is fun, but more relaxed, like what you said with the van. Just go somewhere and enjoy nature.
yeah.
Get some good, like, peaceful environment and scenery. Because the kids will make it more.
Oh, yeah.
As it is, they'll just run you till you just like wheels fall off. But yeah, I mean, every
Yeah.
second I can be in nature and be in a calm, peaceful environment in that space, like, yeah, it's priceless.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's what we're trying to gear towards.
Mm-hmm. That's kind of where it went for me. Back when we were doing Moab still, like my most hated trail was Cliffhanger. And it's not because it's difficult. It's just this whole idea of driving up a step on a cliff that's like 1,000 feet on one side. It's like you can drive down, it's easy. It's like, you just walk down it. And even going back up, it's easy, right? It's not like a difficult obstacle. But it's that whole like, why am I on the edge of like 1,000-foot cliff right now when I don't need to be? That's what I just didn't dig about it. That was my thing. It was like, well, big cliff right there. I don't want to fall off of it, you know.
What vehicle did you have for that?
Okay, so the last time I did it, I think I did it in that white Jeep
Yeah,
sitting in the
I was
showroom.
with you.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. Nice.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep, that's the last time I did it. And I've done it like a couple times, but yeah, it's just like you drive. And the weirdest part of that trail to me is you go out just to an outlook, but you get the same view if you're just over here,
Yeah.
right? You don't like get a better view. You just get a different view. And then it's like, okay, now that I've driven clear out here to a dead end and I get the same view, I'm now going to drive back and go up this cliff. And I don't know. I'd rather go somewhere and actually go to point, right? I mean, I guess if you were camping out there, that would be kind of cool, right? Which I never did any of that. But I mean, that would be kind of cool. You go out there and you camp. That would be neat.
Yeah.
And like I said, I mean, it's not hard. The obstacle itself isn't hard. It's just like, it's the 1,000-foot cliff on the one side that's slightly nerve-wracking, right? And it's just, not my gig. I'd much rather just go out in the middle of nowhere and just not be on the side of a 1,000-foot cliff. You know what I mean?
Yeah, different strokes.
I'd rather climb a 1,000-foot cliff. That sounds fun with like ropes and, stuff like that. That stuff I did that kind of stuff when I was a kid. That was fun. Not as an old man anymore. I'm not an old man, am I? Am I kind of old?
No. I've
I
not
feel
told you
old.
my theory of old.
No, you have not told me.
Here you go. Here's another one.
Okay.
Old is always 15 years from where you are today. So you're never old.
Oh, okay. I like that.
That's a good
Right?
one.
Yeah.
Yep.
I'm not going to be old till I'm 60.
Yeah. And then when you're 60,
That's great.
75.
Yeah, that's fantastic.
Right?
I love this.
Totally changes everything.
Dude, you've brought up two things that are just fantastic. One is old is 15 years away. That one, and what is that? Happy miles per gallon?
Miles per happy.
Miles per happy. Those are fantastic concepts. I love it.
That's a very optimistic and positive way of thinking, and I like that. But
Especially for a guy that has a 2-week-old.
Exactly. But the thing is, like the last few years, I've been waking up with aches around my body where I didn't realize there was muscles and like places that could ache. I'm like, okay, that's the reminder.
You just got to get used to that. You'll get used to it. I went snowboarding last week, and I was like, oh, I'm gonna be hating life. I haven't been snowboarding for like 15 years, and I fell like 3 or 4 times too. But no, snowboarding, I didn't feel that bad. It was pretty fantastic. My body did not hurt nearly as much as I thought it was going to. And it made me actually really happy because I'm like, I can do this as an older person. Sure, I thought snowboarding was done for me. I thought just that those good times were over.
Yeah.
But they're not.
That's good.
Yeah.
So does that like compel you to keep going more frequently?
It does, yeah. And plus the whole 15 years is when you're old. 15 years
That's
from
right.
yeah. I'll be rolling until I'm like 90 at that rate. You know what I mean? I'll be doing great.
You can mix it up. Like you can go do a run, kick it at the lodge. Like I had one of the greatest talks with like, he was probably in his 60s last year. He did that. He'd go up, he'd do like 3 runs, and he'd just kick it at the lodge and just hang out all day. Way better than just sitting in your house depressed. Like, it mixes up. You do have some more aches and pains, but you can still do those things. Like you can still enjoy life.
I think you just end up with the aches and pains no matter what. Yeah, you know what I mean? And it's like maybe you get moving a little bit and the juices get flowing and then the pains go away. Maybe that's just how it's supposed to work.
Like I'm destined for those pains because I broke a lot of bones when I was a young buck. Mm-hmm. It's going to come. It hasn't yet. I think that's just part of the experience is like, got to just take a little longer to get loosened up and go.
Yeah. You a bone breaker as a young child? Were you doing that stuff?
Not really. I mean, I dislocated and sprained ankles and elbows and stuff like that. But, I had a fracture on my hand, on one of my bones on my hand, but that was pretty much the worst of it. Yeah. I never really got into crazy stuff like that.
That's good. Do you want to talk? It might be. Maybe you're just doing it in your older age when you have more expensive toys to break.
Right. Yeah.
Which leads us into the axle grind you did in your Ram. Should we talk about that?
Let's talk about it.
Yeah. So he was like on this trail and he decided to do a 50-50 axle grind down a tree.
Nice.
And
it was a little quirk on a Ram. The funny thing is earlier in that day when we were driving around, the power steering failed on that or just shut off. So I had to manually try to steer the Ram on these tight little curvy trails. It's like, what's going on? So we stopped at a place where we could stop. So I had like my friend Nate, Max, and all of us kind of look under the engine and hood, under the vehicle. Nothing seemed off. So like, okay. Nate said, hey, just shut off the truck, turn it back on. Usually that just resets everything. You should be good. So okay, I'll take your advice. You're well versed in this more than I am, so I'll do that. Lo and behold, the power steering failure light turned off and everything was good to go. Half hour later into it, where we're going down this trail, and I'm not blaming it on this, but I feel like it could have been because everything happened so fast.
Mm-hmm.
Next thing you know it, I'm like sliding on the side of a ditch on my driver's side. I'm resting on the side of a downed tree. I'm going to also say this cliff side on my driver's side, there were some parts where the trees weren't there and it's a steep drop.
Yeah.
So I got really lucky.
Mm-hmm.
And then there were a bunch of logs that were actually trees that were down in front of me, which that's what stopped me on my forward momentum.
Mm-hmm.
It got caught up on my driver's side tire. And then, of course, there were some other trees that were pressed against the bumper.
Mm-hmm.
So it was like a 4-vehicle operation to winch the thing out.
Yeah, I was gonna say, you were anchored in, at least from the rear. There was 2 winches involved,
2
right?
in the rear and then 2 in the front.
One was
almost.
on yours, right? Wasn't it? And one was
Yep.
somebody ahead of you.
Someone had it, and then their winch failed. So
Oh, dang.
and then Nate tied it. Actually, you put a recovery rope on his trailer behind his Toyota Tacoma,
Yeah.
and tried to do something like that. So I have a 12,000-pound winch on the Ram, which was definitely a thing that kind of contributed to that, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And it was quite an experience. I learned a lot on that trip through
Mm-hmm.
that. But anyway, so it took about, I'd say about a good half an hour to 45 minutes to do the recovery.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, at one point I just had 3 wheels on the ground contact because I had my passenger side up off the ground as we were kind of winching up.
Mm-hmm.
But when we got it back on its feet on the trail, we surveyed the damage. The driver's side headlight was busted.
Right.
Actually, the fender on the driver's side was, I had to replace that because it was bent so bad.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh.
And then the truck bed side panel on the rear, that was dented pretty bad. I had to hire professional dent removers to fix that part.
Hmm.
I had an A-pillar that had a dent inside from one of the trees that got pushed in.
Yeah.
The hood, luckily, it didn't make any contact with the hood, so the hood was fine. Bumper, just a few scratches.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I think, what everyone was there, their consensus is like, that's what saved the front end of the vehicle. Just because if I had the stock one, I know it would have crumpled more.
Right.
And then it actually would have probably pressed into like the radiator and stuff. So
Yeah.
super lucky, super grateful for what that bumper did. And
Mm-hmm.
I'm driving it around now still. And it's doing good.
Nice.
I love it.
Yeah. So the adventures are now continuing
It is.
in the Ram, right?
Yep.
Okay.
But it's more mild adventures now. Like I say that, but I got stuck in the snow a few weeks back and I didn't recovered. But now that's what the Jeep is for. You know, the Ram has 35-inch mud terrain tires, and you know,
Yeah.
I plan to just take it to like maybe gravel roads out into the high desert areas and stuff. But if I'm looking at technical trails or light crawling, that's
Right.
the Jeep on 40s. That's what that's gonna do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yep.
Nice. Okay. No, that's cool, dude. You'll have the best of both worlds, right? You'll be able to cover a lot of stuff. So what's coming up for you also is, so as far as Easter Jeep Safari goes, which is coming up here, I think April.
Yep.
You're going to be in our booth.
Yep.
As I understand, right?
Yes.
With your rig.
Yep.
That's going to be sweet.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. It's my first anything Jeep. So because I'm new to the Jeep world, I didn't even know about Easter Jeep Safari until my friends talked about it in conversation with you guys and stuff. So it seems like a pretty big, major event, pretty important event. And I'm excited.
Yeah.
So me, my friend Nate, we're going to do a convoy down towards Easter Jeep Safari. We're going to tackle some trails. We also got some filming we're doing with Onyx Off-Road.
Nice.
Yeah, they're doing a budget build-off type of thing with some other people. So us against so it's 3 teams. Bleeping Jeep, is one team. And then Bleeping Jeep and what was it? It was Mischief Maker and Rudy.
Yeah.
Rudy
Okay.
is Matt's Awful Recovery son.
Yeah.
So they're in another team, and we all have this limit, like a budget, where we can take these old vehicles,
Right.
off-road worthy vehicles, and take it to Moab Rim and wheel with them stock before we
Nice.
do anything to them.
Yeah.
And Onyx is, anticipating that we're going to get some damage done on these vehicles, so they're going to bring a tow rig.
I would imagine the rim is it's pretty intense, man.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
not, I mean, we did call it the Sunday drive because that's usually when we did it, was on Sunday afternoon, but it's not necessarily a Sunday drive.
Yeah.
It's another one of those where you're on a kind of, it feels off camber, a lot of it,
Mhm.
right? You're on this hill, and the one thing you don't want is your brakes to ever go out. That's
Yeah.
the one thing you're just like, please, brakes never go out, right?
Well,
It's a
everyone-
trail that messes with your mind.
It does.
'cause
That's
you're-
what I hear. Well, everyone on the other teams, they were like, "Are you crazy? We can't take these stock budget rigs
Yeah.
out here. It's not going to make it." And but that's the thing. That's what adds. That's what's going to build up, the excitement about these challenges is the fact that we're gonna. It's like it's a good story arc. You
Yeah.
got these vehicles that are going to try to do these trails, and they might do it, and they might have some damages done along the way, or they might not at all. But then that is the point. Like after that, we're going to build it up over a few months, and then we have a budget, how much we can use to build it up, and then we're going to take it back out on the trail and see which vehicle is the most capable. Yeah.
No, my first time. So, quick story, I'll tell you. First time doing Moab Rim, okay? We pull up to it. I think you were there,
I
right?
think it was.
We pulled up to it, and I was in that white Jeep. And that time I had like 32-inch tires, and it wasn't super big.
Yeah.
Open diffs and everything like that. I was really big on my driving skills, getting me through. That was like my big pride ego thing, is that I could do stuff with open diffs and all that stuff. Anyway, so we pull up to it, and there's this dude that comes rolling up in this old, I think it was a Willys, but it was an old Jeep. I still remember the color. It was like baby blue.
Yep.
And it had like 31-inch tires. It was stock. And I was just like, oh, crap. We're going to get stuck behind this guy, and we're going to have to follow him all the way up the trail. So I really wanted everyone to rush so we could all get ready, but everyone's getting ready. I'm like, oh, man, we're stuck behind him. He's already started the trail. And I watched this guy. This guy drove up this thing like it was nothing. He just rolled right up the entire. I watched him drive up the entire thing and was just blown away. When we were going up this hill, I'm trying to remember here. Okay, so as we started going up, this guy started coming down as we were maybe halfway up, and I remember talking to the guy, and he was awesome. I felt really bad for judging him, but
It's the driver mod, right?
yeah.
That
I mean,
experience.
the guy he was skilled. He just rolled right up it. I didn't see anything fancy with this Jeep. I didn't see power steering. He might have had lockers or something like that. But I mean, he just rolled right up it. There was nothing modified about it at all.
It was
So
truly a Sunday drive for him.
it truly
Yeah.
was a Sunday drive for this
that's
guy.
reassuring. That's good to know.
So I think you have a Lexus, right? Is that what can you tell us?
Yeah, I think we can.
Maybe
The
not.
big reveal is in April at Easter Jeep Safaris when they're
Oh,
going to
okay.
film the big reveal. But I can say it is a older Lexus SUV platform.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Yeah.
that'll be interesting to see.
Yeah.
yeah. One of the crews got a S10. I can say that, I guess.
Okay.
But the condition of the vehicles, how it looks, what it looks like, and how, whatever, that's all going to be revealed in April.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Okay. This will be cool. It'll be interesting to see. Where's that going to be? Are they going to do? That's Onyx doing that.
Onyx Off-Road is doing that. Yeah, they're
Okay.
the sponsor for that event. And it should be over the course of like 3 months. So in July is
okay.
when the final build competition is happening.
Oh, okay.
then
So there's
it-
more things happening. It's not just that one event, not the one Moab piece.
So the Moab is an introduction, and throughout the course of time, if you look at like Bleeping Jeep's channel or Rudy's or Mischief Maker, they're basically share content about the build. So
Got it.
you're going to see it as it progresses over time, what they're going to do to it, what we're going to do, our rig, and yeah, and July is going to be, and I don't know if any other events are going to be attended with those vehicles, if that's what you're asking. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yep.
Okay. Well, that would be cool.
Yeah,
Right on.
we'll see.
Yeah. No, I think that's going to be neat. So this will be your first time in Moab. Is that correct?
First time in Moab. Yeah, first time. It's going to be a first everything.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
That's going to be awesome.
Super excited.
You're going to freak out. You're going to be like a kid in a candy store.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sensory overload.
That's just what happens. Like your first time in Moab. I was probably like 14 my first time in Moab, and I was like, this place is the coolest place ever.
So this
Right.
is like a combo meal to me. Like, so there's the Moab, the trails, and then there's the Easter Jeep Safari on top of that. So, I kind of have an idea of what that is, but how does it compare to like Overland Expo or something like that?
So it's way more country redneck, I would say.
Okay.
Potato salad. I mean,
Yeah,
Dude,
yeah.
you just sit there and
It's
watch.
way more country redneck.
That's
is
all
the truth
me.
of it.
That's
Yeah.
my country redneck over here. But yeah, okay.
Yeah, that's how I'd put it. I mean, it's just there's a lot of cowboys. You find out just how cowboy-y this segment is, right? Jeep's there, right? So Jeep's usually there. They've got a cool display. AEV's got a pretty cool street display where they've got all their cool rigs and stuff. But then, I mean, you go down to it, the show is inside an arena that's like a, you know.
Oh, so it's all indoors.
It's 50-50. Yeah.
Okay.
So there's a lot of outdoor stuff there's a lot of trailers that are outdoors and stuff like that. It snows like every other year.
Okay.
You know.
Where is Expedition One's booth going to be at?
It's inside.
Inside.
Like
okay.
once I got inside, after I don't know, like 10 years of fighting to get inside, I was like, I'm in and I'm staying in.
Yeah.
So I'm usually wedged, like Warren's right here and I'm right here, and then somebody else is next to me. Sometimes it's Come Up. So I used to be like, okay, I'm in between Come Up and Warren, but I don't know if Come Up's going this year or not. So it's probably going to be, here's Warren, here's us, and then somebody else will be next to us.
Very cool.
But we're right over in that corner. So
Nice.
in the arena, and it's what do you call those? It's a rodeo type arena. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's what it is.
Okay, so
Yeah.
it's still dirt floor on the ground inside and stuff. Oh,
Yeah.
very cool.
Yeah. So it's a cool little spot. Yeah. Just about every other year it snows or it rains or it gets super windy and somebody's tent blows away. I mean, it's not too different than Overland Expo,
Right.
but
Yeah.
you know, the snow is probably a new thing, right? I've never been to an Overland Expo and had it snow, you know,
Yeah.
yet. I shouldn't even be saying this right now. I shouldn't have said it because I'm just like, this is the year, right? It's gonna be May and it's gonna snow in Flagstaff and it's gonna be my fault.
Just jinxed it. Yeah. We have
James.
witnesses.
All James.
So when it snows out there in Moab, does that make the trails do they close out the trails or is it still doable?
No, you can still go. It's just, it takes a trail that was, if it was a 2, or I don't know what the rating scale is now, but it was like a 5 rated trail. It's now like an 8.
Right.
It just makes it way harder.
Makes slick
It
rock
gets a
even
lot
slicker.
gnarlier.
Right.
Yeah. So I usually don't go wheeling there if it's snowing. I'll stay off the trails. Dude, the mud can turn into, if you get the right slick of sand or mud, it will literally just turn into just,
Like grease?
oh yeah. It's just
Really?
like, it's like butter all of a sudden. And to have a vehicle that you're trying to go places and all of a sudden you're just sliding down this buttery ramp,
Yeah.
it's just too scary. We've been there enough times. I've been there when I was younger, back in kind of like the I don't know what you want to call this, the more unregulated days. I mean, you had back when Lions Back was still open and people would pay $25 to drive up this thing, dude. The amount of people that just died on that thing every other, year, just because they weren't playing it smart. You know what I mean? It's pretty crazy. You can get yourself in a lot of trouble really quick.
Yeah.
It's very deceptive because you're on this rock and it's very grippy. It's like you're on sandpaper and you're like, oh, this is awesome, right? So that sandstone, it's just, you have this grip and it can be deceptive because you think, oh yeah, I can do so much with this. And you're doing much steeper obstacles than you'd normally be able to do on dirt.
Right.
And that's where you can get in trouble, is just, you can get in these weird situations where you end up off camber and things can just go rough and you can tip over and it gets really, really nasty. And then there's Potato Salad Hill. So it's not something I do.
Great
I've
to
watched
watch,
plenty
though.
of people do
Great
it.
to watch.
Yeah.
Great to watch.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we watched
Noted.
this dude. We were together. We watched this dude climbing Potato Salad Hill, and he was like, he went up. Okay, no, this guy, he deserves everything he got. Okay, he completely deserved it. Okay, because we're all just standing there, and he drives up and he hits this thing, and he, for no reason at all, he's throttling it, and he bounces and he hits, and he lands on top, and he shifts down. We're all standing on the top, right? And he shifts down, and he was spitting rocks like that big around, just come flying out towards us and stuff like that. I think I got hit in the hand with a big old rock. And I literally just, my mindset was like, wow, that guy's a douche, right? Anyway, so he drives down and he comes back around, and whoever was down there, he's like, yep, I'm going to go up again. He goes up on a harder obstacle side with a much bigger step. And he's just hits this bounce, and he hits it hard. And I'm pretty sure he broke his motor mount, and his tire motor shifted, and it was hitting the fender because his fender was bouncing up and down and everything like that. He rolled down to the bottom, and there was all this smoke and stuff, and none of us helped him because we were like, well, he's a dick. So anyway, True story.
That's good to know about that trail, man. And is that why they call it Potato Salad Hill? 'Cause just a whole bunch of like.
They call it Potato Salad Hill because somebody was doing the obstacle one time and they had their cooler in the back and it was full of a potato salad and it bounced out and landed all over. So they called it Potato Salad Hill.
But it has obstacles, and then on top it's got gravel. So like as you're trying to complete, it's hard to get the traction because it's just spitting the rocks. But and it's right. I mean, it's really close to town. You can drive up to it. There's actually a hike right next to it that you can hike and just sit and watch. So
yeah, it's kind of cool. Yeah, it's a cool area. Mostly people go out there. A lot of people are inebriated. I mean, it's a good time. Yeah. So it's fun to go watch people. That's really what it is.
People
it's almost guaranteed somebody's gonna roll.
Yeah.
It happens every time.
It's like King of the Hammers.
It is. Yeah. You know what I mean? It's what happens. So yeah. It's good stuff. So, yeah, you're going to be excited. I'm excited to be there, for you to be in Moab, and you're going to be reacting to it. And you're going to be like, this is amazing.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Yeah, thanks for inviting me and having me with you guys over there.
You're welcome. Yeah, it's going to be a good time, man. So I'm glad your build worked out good. I think it looks good.
Yeah,
the 40s are going to make a huge difference. I love the color. That tan color is just beautiful.
Thank you.
So, yeah, look forward to hitting the trail. We want to hit the trail more with you. So hopefully let's plan some stuff.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
I think that'd be great.
Yeah. Yeah. That would be cool. So awesome. You're hitting the road right now. So we're going to end so you can hit the road. But Ed, it was great having you on, man. And great seeing you, and lots of fun trails in the future, right?
Yes, sir.
Awesome.
Gonna as much as I can.
Nice.
Yeah.
Exciting. Thanks for watching, everybody. Thanks for being on.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks for co-piloting, Matt.
Sideshow Bob.
Awesome. Cool.